The Silent Watchers. The stars had been silent for so long that when the first alien ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, humanity almost missed them entirely. The Kethran Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for over 3,000 years, claiming worlds and species with the methodical efficiency of a machine that had never known defeat. Their sleek vessels moved through space like shadows, equipped with technology that could bend reality itself to their will. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the blue-green world spin slowly before them. His four arms moved gracefully as he studied the tactical displays, his scaled skin reflecting the soft glow of the ship's instruments. The planet looked peaceful, almost defensively so, with its small metal satellites orbiting like toys around a child's ball. "Initial scans complete, Commander," reported his tactical officer, Sub-Admiral Rickstall. Her voice carried the typical confidence of the Kethran military, but there was something else there too, a note of curiosity that made Zethkar's head turn slightly. "The species calls itself human. They appear to be in their early technological phase, barely capable of reaching their own moon with primitive chemical rockets." Zethkar nodded, his attention already moving to other matters. He had conquered dozens of worlds like this one, each inhabited by species that thought themselves advanced, until they met the true powers of the galaxy. Standard procedure then: deploy the assessment drones and prepare the subjugation fleet. How long until we can begin the integration process? Perhaps 2 of their planetary rotations, Commander. Their weapons are crude, mostly projectile-based with some basic energy systems. No shields, no faster-than-light travel, no quantum manipulation capabilities. Rickstall paused, studying her readings more carefully. Though there is something unusual about their communication networks. They seem to share information at a remarkable rate for such a primitive species. Down on Earth, in a secure military facility buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Captain Elena Vasquez was having the worst day of her career. The satellite feeds were showing objects that shouldn't exist, moving in patterns that defied everything humanity thought they knew about physics. She ran her hand through her dark hair, staring at the screens that displayed what could only be described as alien spacecraft. "How many?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. "At least 40 confirmed vessels, Captain," replied Sergeant Martinez, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he tried to make sense of the data flooding in. "Possibly more. They're using some kind of stealth technology that's making our sensors go crazy. But whatever they're doing, it's not perfect. We're getting glimpses." Dr. James Chen burst through the reinforced doors of the command center, his usually neat lab coat disheveled, and his eyes wide with excitement and terror. "Elena, you need to see this. The electromagnetic patterns, the gravitational distortions, they're not just here for observation. These readings suggest weapons systems unlike anything we've ever imagined." Elena turned to face the scientist, her military training keeping her calm even as the world seemed to tilt around her. "How long do you think we have?" Based on their approach patterns and the energy signatures we're detecting, maybe 12 hours before they make direct contact. "But Elena, there's something else. I've been monitoring their communications, and while I can't understand the language, the patterns suggest they're not expecting any resistance. This feels like a routine operation to them." Above the atmosphere, the Kethran assessment continued with mechanical precision. The drones swept through Earth's airspace, cataloging military installations, population centers, and technological capabilities. To Commander Zethkar, it all looked exactly as expected. The humans had their crude weapons, their simple vehicles, their basic understanding of energy manipulation. Nothing that posed any threat to the Empire. But Sub-Admiral Rickstall was growing more troubled by what she was seeing. "Commander, their response to our presence is not what I anticipated. Instead of panic or attempts to hide, they appear to be coordinating globally. Their communication networks are carrying massive amounts of data between their military and scientific installations." Zethkar barely looked up from his strategic planning. Desperation, nothing more. They know they are outmatched and are probably trying to negotiate surrender terms. It matters little. Begin the demonstration phase. A few targeted strikes on uninhabited areas should convince them to accept our terms quickly. The first alien weapon fired at 1432 Greenwich Mean Time, striking an empty section of the Sahara Desert with a beam of energy that turned sand into glass for miles in every direction. The message was clear and simple. Resistance was futile. But humanity's response was anything but expected. Instead of surrendering, every major government on Earth activated emergency protocols that had been developed in secret over decades. Hidden facilities came online, revealing technologies that had been kept classified not just from the public, but from most of the military itself. Dr. Chen's true role became clear as he coordinated with teams of scientists who had been preparing for this exact scenario since the first radio signals had been sent into space. "They think we're primitive," Alina said, watching as her screens filled with data from facilities she hadn't even known existed. "That's going to be their first mistake." Captain Alina coordinated with her global counterparts as humanity revealed its hidden ace. For years, scientists had been working on projects that pushed the boundaries of physics, inspired by the simple question of what would happen if Earth were ever threatened by something beyond their current understanding. The results were about to shock the galaxy. The first human counterattack came not from weapons, but from something far more dangerous to an empire that relied on technological superiority: adaptation. Within hours of the alien demonstration, human facilities were broadcasting signals that interfered with Kethran sensors, using principles the aliens had never encountered because no species had ever thought to approach electromagnetic manipulation from such a chaotic, intuitive angle. Commander Zethkar felt the first stirring of unease as his tactical displays began showing errors and gaps in coverage. "What is happening to our sensors?" Rickstoll worked frantically at her station, her four arms moving in patterns of increasing urgency. "The humans are using some form of quantum interference, but not in any way that follows standard principles. It's as if they're throwing random variables into their signals and somehow making it work through sheer persistence and creativity." The second surprise came when human aircraft, supposedly limited to primitive chemical propulsion, began appearing in low orbit using technologies that seemed to have been developed overnight. They weren't matching Kethran capabilities, but they were adapting to them, learning from each encounter and improving with a speed that should have been impossible. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through Alina's communicator. "The beauty of human engineering isn't that we build the best systems, Alina. It's that we build systems that can become better. Every time they adapt to our tactics, we're already working on the next evolution." As the first day of contact ended, both sides were realizing that this was not going to be the quick, simple conquest the Kethran Empire had expected. Humanity had revealed that their apparent primitiveness hid something far more dangerous: an ability to innovate under pressure that turned every limitation into a new possibility. Commander Zethkar stood before his tactical display as reports flooded in from across the fleet. The humans were not behaving like any species the Empire had ever encountered. They were learning, adapting, and most disturbing of all, they were doing it with a speed and creativity that suggested this was only the beginning. "Request reinforcements from the Third Fleet," he ordered, his voice carrying none of its earlier confidence. "And send a priority message to Imperial Command. Inform them that the subjugation of Earth may require more resources than initially calculated." Sub-Admiral Rickstoll looked up from her station, her scaled features reflecting worry. "Commander, there's something else. Our intelligence suggests that what we've seen today represents only a fraction of human capability. They appear to have been preparing for contact with unknown forces for much longer than we initially assessed." As Earth's night side turned toward the alien fleet, cities across the planet buzzed with activity. Hidden facilities were coming fully online, revealing technologies that had been theoretical just days before, but were now being manufactured and deployed with the desperate efficiency that only humanity could achieve when their survival was at stake. In the depths of space, other powers were beginning to take notice. The Kethran Empire had been expanding unopposed for millennia, but something was happening at the edge of their territory that had never happened before. A primitive species was not only resisting, but adapting, learning, and fighting back with innovations that were changing the rules of the game. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not any single technology or strategy, but their ability to look at impossible situations and find ways to make them possible. The war that was about to begin would shake the foundations of galactic civilization and establish humanity as a power that could never again be underestimated. As the alien ships repositioned for what they expected to be a quick final assault, Captain Elena Vasquez stood in her command center, surrounded by displays showing human forces across the globe preparing for battle. She thought about her daughter, sleeping safely in a bunker far below, and about the future that hung in the balance. "They wanted to see what humans are capable of," she said quietly, her voice carrying to every corner of the facility. "Let's show them." The cosmos trembles. The second phase of what would later be called the Earth War began at dawn, when humanity launched its first coordinated offensive against the Kethran fleet. What the aliens witnessed in those first moments of counterattack would forever change how the galaxy viewed the small blue world at the edge of the spiral arm. Commander Zethkar had expected to wake to reports of human surrender. Instead, his flagship shuddered under impacts from weapons that shouldn't have existed 12 hours earlier. The humans had somehow managed to reverse engineer Kethran energy signatures and were using them to power projectile systems that combined primitive kinetic force with advanced targeting systems stolen directly from alien sensor data. "Status report," Zethkar commanded, his forearms gripping the command console as another impact rattled the bridge. Sub-Admiral Rickstall's voice carried a note of disbelief that would have been impossible from any Kethran officer just days before. "Commander, the humans have somehow weaponized their communication satellites. They're using quantum entanglement principles to coordinate attacks across multiple orbital positions simultaneously. Our shields are holding, but barely." Down on Earth, Dr. James Chen watched his life's work unfold across a dozen screens in the hidden facility that had become humanity's war room. The theoretical physics that had once been academic exercises were now saving his species. "Elena, the alien response patterns suggest they've never encountered multi-vector adaptive warfare. They're trying to counter each attack individually instead of recognizing the overall strategy." Captain Elena Vasquez coordinated the global defense with the calm precision that had made her humanity's choice to lead this impossible fight. "That's because they're used to overwhelming primitive species with superior technology. They don't know how to fight an enemy that learns faster than they can adapt." The tide of battle shifted when humanity revealed their most ambitious project yet. Hidden construction facilities across Earth had been working around the clock to build what Dr. Chen called evolution engines, ships that could rebuild themselves in real time based on combat data. They weren't as powerful as Kethran vessels, but they could become more effective with every engagement. The first human ship to reach the alien fleet looked like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. It was built from salvaged materials, powered by hybrid human-alien technology, and operated by a crew that was making up tactics as they fought. But it worked, adapting to alien weapons and finding weaknesses in systems that had been perfected over thousands of years. Commander Zethkar watched in growing alarm as his supposedly superior fleet began to struggle against enemies that were learning from every exchange of fire. "How is this possible? Our technology is thousands of years more advanced than theirs." Rickstall studied her readings with the analytical mind that had made her the Empire's best intelligence officer. "Commander, I believe we have made a fundamental error in our assessment. The humans are not trying to match our technology. They are creating entirely new approaches that our systems were never designed to counter." As news of the battle spread beyond Earth's solar system, other species began to take notice. The Kethran Empire had been the dominant force in this sector of the galaxy for so long that most civilizations had forgotten what effective resistance looked like. Now, transmitted across faster-than-light communication networks, came reports of a primitive species that was not just fighting back, but winning. The Zephyrian Collective, a loose alliance of species that had long chafed under Kethran dominance, sent secret observers to the Earth system. What they saw convinced them that the balance of power in the galaxy was shifting in ways that could change everything. Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrians transmitted an encrypted message to her homeworld. The humans fight like no species we have encountered. They do not seek to prove their superiority or demonstrate their power. They simply refuse to lose, and that refusal is backed by an innovation capacity that grows stronger under pressure. On Earth, humanity was discovering capabilities they hadn't known they possessed. The crisis had unified the planet in ways that peacetime never could, breaking down barriers between nations, institutions, and individuals. Scientists shared data freely, engineers collaborated across continents, and military forces coordinated with an efficiency that surprised even their own commanders. Dr. Chen found himself working alongside researchers he had only known through academic papers, solving problems that had been theoretical just days before. The fascinating thing, he told Elena during a brief break in the coordination effort, is that we're not just fighting with human technology anymore. We're fighting with human thinking applied to alien principles. The breakthrough that changed everything came when humanity managed to capture an intact Kethran scout vessel. Within hours, human engineers had not only reverse-engineered its systems, but had found ways to improve them using approaches that the original designers had never considered. The modified scout ship, rechristened the Defiance, became the first human vessel capable of faster-than-light travel. Its maiden voyage took it directly to the Kethran staging area 3 systems away, where it delivered a message that shocked the Empire to its core. Humanity was no longer trapped in their home system. Commander Zethkar received the news while his own fleet was still struggling with the ongoing battle around Earth. The impossible had happened. Not only were the humans surviving the assault, they were taking the fight to other Kethran positions. "Send word to Imperial Command," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of a civilization's first taste of real defeat. "Request immediate reinforcement from all available fleets. The situation at Earth has exceeded all projections." But the Empire's troubles were just beginning. As word of humanity's resistance spread through the galaxy, other species began to question whether Kethran dominance was as inevitable as they had been led to believe. Rebellion sparked on worlds that had been peacefully subjugated for centuries, inspired by the example of a species that refused to accept defeat. The pivotal moment came when the Kethran reinforcement fleet arrived at Earth, expecting to find the aftermath of a successful conquest. Instead, they encountered a human fleet that had grown from captured technology and reverse-engineered systems into something entirely new. A fusion of human creativity and alien capability that was greater than the sum of its parts. Captain Elena, now commanding the human fleet from the bridge of the Defiance, watched as alien ships that had once seemed invincible struggled to counter tactics that evolved faster than their targeting systems could track. "The beautiful thing about fighting impossible odds," she told her crew, "is that it forces you to discover what's actually possible." The battle that followed would be studied by military strategists across the galaxy for generations to come. Humanity didn't win through superior firepower or more advanced technology. They won by thinking differently, adapting faster, and refusing to be limited by conventional approaches to warfare. As Kethran ships began to retreat from the Earth system, carrying with them the news that would reshape galactic politics, Sub-Admiral Rick Stahl made an observation that would become legendary. "We came to conquer a primitive world and instead awaken something that the galaxy has never seen before. The humans do not fight like warriors or conquerors. They fight like survivors who have decided that survival is not enough." The aftermath of humanity's victory sent shockwaves through established galactic civilization. Species that had never questioned Kethran dominance began to organize their own resistance movements. The rigid hierarchy that had kept the galaxy stable for millennia began to crack under the pressure of new possibilities. Dr. Chen, now recognized as one of the architects of humanity's victory, stood before the newly formed Galactic Council as its youngest and most unlikely member. "The question isn't whether humanity deserves a place among the stars," he said to the assembled representatives of dozens of species. "The question is whether the galaxy is ready for what we represent. The idea that no challenge is insurmountable if you're willing to think beyond the accepted limits of what's possible." Commander Zethkar, relieved of his command, but granted the honor of being humanity's first official contact with the reformed Kethran government, reflected on the lessons learned during those crucial days. "We thought we were encountering primitives," he wrote in his final report. "Instead, we encountered the future." The cosmos had indeed trembled at humanity's arrival, not because of their weapons or their technology, but because of their refusal to accept that the impossible was impossible. In a galaxy grown comfortable with established limits, humanity represented unlimited possibility. Captain Elena, now Admiral Vasquez of the human colonial fleet, stood on the observation deck of humanity's first deep space station, watching ships from dozens of species dock at facilities built with technologies that combined the best of human innovation with galactic knowledge. The stars no longer seemed silent. They hummed with the communication networks of an alliance built not on dominance, but on the simple human principle that everyone deserved the chance to reach their full potential. Humanity had arrived in battle and left the cosmos in awe, but more importantly, they had shown the galaxy what was possible when survival and creativity combined with an unshakable determination to build something better. As she watched a Kethran diplomatic vessel dock alongside ships from the Zephyrian Collective and a dozen other species, Elena smiled. The war was over, but humanity's real journey among the stars was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same.